Okay, surface area of a cone. As you can see, the surface area is the area of the curved surface. Okay, the area of the curved surface, which is, this section here, as if you've got a quarter circle that then gets folded around, and the area of the circular base, which of course is this bit here. And when those two get put together, you end up with a cone. Now, when you're talking about the surface area of this shape, it's assuming it's a solid, and of course it is, I suppose, a bit like a cylinder. You can think about it as a closed cone. In other words, it has a solid top. You can't put anything inside the cone. Things to consider: L is a slant height, okay, on the outside, and R, of course, is the radius. So there's your R, there's your L, which is your slant height, and your height, which is your internal height, from the tip of the cone to the base of the circle. Now, once again, if you were dealing with the surface area of a cone, but it was open, so let's say you're dealing with an ice cream cone, for example, you wouldn't need this component of the formula, because that is as if it had a solid base. But in this case, I'll just remove that because we are dealing with that formula as if it's solid. Okay, but yeah, just be aware you can manipulate the formula in any way you like. Well, not in any way you like, but to get rid of the circle on the bottom, you just get rid of the pi r squared. Okay, so the first part of the question is asking for just the curved surface. So that's going to be the pi rl component of the formula. So you've got your surface area, which is equal to pi rl. So the sloping side, in this case, that's all they've given you, so there's not much choice. So you've got the pi times the radius times the sloping or slant height, and then you get your answer. And we end up with an answer of 1598.9, which is to 1 decimal place, square centimetres. The second part asks for the total surface area. Now, remembering in this case, the total surface area is just adding on the pi r squared. So, in effect, you are actually doing the whole formula. So you got the pi rl plus the pi r squared. But in this case, we already did the pi rl in part A. So all I've got to do is the second part. Now what I'm doing is I'm writing out the 162 pi, so the exact form. And in actual fact, with the second bit, I can just write out straight away 81 pi, because I can see clearly that the radius is r, and the radius is 9. 9 squared is 81, and I've got pi. So 162 plus 81 is going to give me 243 pi. So that's the answer in exact form. Times that by pi, and I end up with 2398.3 square centimetres. Okay, so once again, you look at the question, and the question says find the surface area of this cone. And, if you're one of those people and you rush straight into it, you'll be thinking about pi rl plus pi r squared. And hopefully, at this point, you've stopped and you're going, well, hang on, I don't have the slant height. I only have the internal height. And this is where on the side, you're now going to have to use Pythagoras' theorem. So you actually have to find this slant height, okay? So we're going to need to find L. So on the side, you're going to have to do a little bit of working, find L, which is using Pythagoras' theorem, because remember, this here, okay, is a right angle triangle. And all we have to do is go a squared plus b squared equals, in this case, L squared. Okay, so I've used Pythagoras' theorem. I've got the 10.4 squared plus the 7.8 squared, added them together, and I've got 169. Notice the square here is now missing from here because it's become a square root sign. When it's gone to the other side, it's become square root. And the square root of 169 is 13. Now, something you might think about is, remember, in reality, it's actually plus minus 13, Because remember previously that whenever you do a square root of something, you should have both. This is one of those examples where you've got to think rationally, and that is minus 13 is not relevant for this question. So hence, we don't need to write plus and minus 13, because in this case, we only want the plus 13. Okay, so now I've got all the relevant information that I need. So I've got, change colour. I've got the pi, which is, of course, pi, times 7.8 times 13 plus... Okay, so I've done all the work in there for you. And once again, you don't need to do all the exact form. I'm just doing that so you can see each of the steps. You can go straight from formula, substitution, then answer.